sea holds its secrets. Every shipwreck, every bell that tolls, every voice that drowns, it keeps them all. But sometimes the sea gives those secrets back, and when it does, something always comes with them. This is the story of a ship called Aurora, a church swallowed by water and the dark, hollow ocean that waits beneath. It began with a discovery at dawn. The Aurora, a fishing vessel, was found drifting silently. Her nets were torn, her engine dead, her crew missing. Inside, investigators saw deep scratches curling inward through the steel walls as if something outside had tried to claw its way in. On the cabin table lay a single page from an old logbook written during the Second World War. "They're knocking on the hull!" And in a drawer, a damaged dive camera. Its last seconds showed the outline of a drowned church deep underwater. A faint bell tolled in the distance, followed by whispers and a pale hand pressing against the lens from the wrong side. The footage led Mara, a documentarian, to call her team. Soren, a geologist, Javier, a sonar technician, and Ilya, with his daughter, Anya, both divers. They believed the Aurora's mystery pointed to the drowned church in the valley reservoir, and so, when storms gathered, they prepared to dive. Long before the dam, the valley held a village and its church. Locals claimed the bells were rung during storms to keep the hollow below quiet. Now, fishermen swore the bells could still be heard through the water when thunder rolled. Some claimed the sound was answered by knocks rising from beneath the lakebed. As the storm broke overhead, the team descended. The church rose from the darkness, its tower broken, pews tilted into mud. Then, without touch, the great bell tolled once. The sound vibrated through their ribs. Anya froze. Through her mask, she swore the water pressed closer, like breath on glass. Behind the altar, a crack yawned open, a tunnel leading deeper into the earth. They entered. The limestone walls were carved with spirals, ships sinking into circles, and rows of dates: 1943, 1961, 1977. Next to each were dots and dashes scratched in shaky hands. Warnings, perhaps. As they swam, their radios hissed with voices. Not their own, children's voices, reciting numbers. Javier yanked off his headset, but the sound continued faintly inside his tank, as though the water itself was speaking. The tunnel dropped into a vast cavern. Below, faint lights flickered in clusters, glowing and dimming like a hidden city. "The abyssal light," Soren whispered. "It's alive down there." Javier sent a sonar ping. The sound fell into the black. The lights brightened in reply. And then the knocking began. 3 knocks. A pause. 2 more. Compasses spun. Gauges failed. The cavern floor sloped into a trench so black it looked endless. At its edge stood a figure in an old dive suit, helmet fogged from the inside. It lifted its hand and beckoned. Anya felt the pull. Her father shouted at her to stop, but she kicked forward, drawn toward the figure. The others followed, and as they did, the cavern itself seemed to breathe. The stone walls expanded and contracted as though the whole place had lungs. The trench opened wider, pulling them in. At the trench bottom, an old submarine leaned against the rock. Its hatch gaped open, rimmed with bloody handprints baked into rust. Inside, papers floated. On the wall, the same phrase from the Aurora's logbook had been scratched deep. "They're knocking on the hull!" The dive-suited figure stood in the command room. Through its glass helmet, Anya saw her own reflection, older, hollow-eyed, lips moving though no sound came. It raised its hand and tapped the console. 3 knocks. Pause. 2. The abyssal lights below surged brighter, and from inside the submarine walls came a new horror. Dozens of pale hands slapping the steel from within as though the lost crew still begged to get out. The trench rumbled. The seabed cracked. The water grew heavy. Wrong. Soren gasped. "This isn't just a cavern. The seabed is hollow. There's another ocean beneath us. And it hears us." Then their bubbles stopped rising. Instead, they drifted sideways, spiraling into the trench. Mara screamed. "The water is wrong!" The knocking grew faster, joined by distorted voices calling their names. Anya froze. She heard her own voice whisper, "Stay with me." Her father pulled her back, but her eyes were unfocused. Something in her had already answered. They tried to escape, but the tunnel stretched endlessly. Their lights flickered. Faces bulged from the stone walls, eyes rolling, mouths open wide. One blinked at them before sinking back into rock. Javier's lamp fell, lighting a drifting sailor's corpse. Its lips moved, mouthing the knock pattern. Then another corpse. Then dozens, floating upside down, eyes staring. Anya's regulator hissed in short bursts. She whispered back to the knocking, "I hear you." At last, they surfaced. But not into the stormy lake they had left. The valley was dry. The church stood whole, its tower upright, its doors glowing with candlelight. Villagers walked the streets. On the pier sat the Aurora, freshly painted. A child pointed at them. "Listen." From the hull came 3 knocks. Pause. 2. Anya's hand lifted against her will, tapping the same rhythm on the boat rail. Her father seized her wrist. "Don't answer!" The villagers turned toward them. Their faces were wet, their eyes black, their mouths opening and closing soundlessly, as if they were all drowning on dry land. Inside the restored church, the bell rope waited. Its bronze carving spelled a code, 73137. A sequence not to call, but to silence. They pulled together. The bell roared. The valley flickered. Meadow, lake, meadow. The hollow resisted, demanding payment. The rope twisted around Anya's wrist. She screamed, but her voice was layered with hundreds more, as if the drowned spoke through her. The floor cracked open into black water. Hands reached up, dragging her down. Her father lunged, but it was too late. Her last look was strangely calm, as if she had always belonged below. The survivors woke on their boat at dawn. The storm had returned. The drowned church lay silent below, as if nothing had happened. All of them surfaced, except Anya. On Mara's camera, the final frame showed the dive-suited figure. The helmet was clear now. Inside, it was Anya, eyes empty, tapping 3 times. Pause. 2. The survivors still hear it in their dreams. The sea holds its secrets, and when it gives them back, it always takes something in return.